Hey guys, today for our book I chose a nonfiction book. So think about what nonfiction means. All the books I've read so far have been fiction. So what do you think nonfiction means? Just look at it's a real photo. So remember, that means it's going to be a true story. Now this is the kind of book, we have a couple of these at my house. It's called We Both Read. So on one page, like an adult can read, and on the other page, a kid can read. And some of the pages have a lot of words on them. They're a little too much information for us right now. So I'm going to kind of ad lib. That just kind of means I'm going to summarize it. I'm going to read some of the facts on it. But I know most of you really like animals. And right before we were out of school, we were talking about animal life cycles. And we talked about oviparous animals. Remember, that means animals that come from eggs. And if you've been outside any time lately, you've been noticing the signs of spring we talked about. Lots of birds being busy, they're building their nests, finding boyfriends and girlfriends so they can put eggs in their nests. And so I found this book, I thought this is perfect. So this will be like science and reading all together. Okay, so this is called Amazing Eggs. And take note of all the animals that come from eggs, and a lot of them we talked about when we were talking about animals that come from eggs. Before you were born, you grew inside your mother. Your mother's body kept you safe and gave you everything you needed to grow. But most animals don't grow inside of their mothers. Instead, they hatch from eggs. And here's some little ducks. And remember, animals or humans that are born live, they drink their mother's milk, they have hair or fur, they're called, starts with an sound, remember, mammals. So these animals are not mammals, they're oviparous animals, they come from eggs. The egg has everything the baby needs to grow. The shell helps keep the baby safe. If you look really close, you can kind of see what it looks like inside of those eggs. There are over 9,000 types of birds, and they all hatch from eggs. There's the ostrich. I remember that Ruthie Mae put an ostrich in her egg when we were doing that. A hummingbird egg is the size of a pea, so you kind of look really close. That right there is about a size of a hummingbird egg. And this is the size of an ostrich egg. Now remember, this is on a page. So a hummingbird egg is about that big. And then an ostrich egg is kind of about that big. Okay? Some bird eggs are blue and some have spots. Now listen, if you see any of these eggs, they're a type of bird called a robin, okay? Most birds build nests to hold their eggs. Nests can be made from sticks, grass, string, hair, or other materials the birds have found. Sometimes they're lined with soft feathers or plant fluff. Perhaps you've spotted a nest in your own backyard. And I know that maybe your mom or dad might be cutting your hair outside, because sometimes right now they're closing all the barber shops. So if they cut your hair outside, you can take your hair and put it in the grass, and the birds will use that to make their nests. And then if you find a nest, you might see your hair in it. Wouldn't that be cool? Nests can be found in trees, and some are found on the ground. And that's a good picture of a robin. And we have a lot of robins around my house. And remember I told you about that nest that one always makes? I'm in my wood pile, so I've been looking for it so I can take pictures and send you. Bird eggs have hard shells. The hard shell and shape of the eggs make them strong enough for the parent bird to sit on them. Sitting on the eggs keeps them warm until the baby chicks are ready to hatch. After they hatch, the chicks are fed by their parents. There's the mama bird. There's the baby birds. Bringing them yummy worms. One bird that does not build a nest for its egg is the penguin. A female emperor penguin lays only one egg at a time. The male penguin, remember that's the daddy, keeps the egg warm until it hatches by holding the egg on its feet and tucking it under a thick flap of skin. So there he is, right there. And remember we talked about the movie Happy Feet? So that's a good one to watch too. It takes 9 weeks for the egg to hatch. Look at that baby coming out. How sweet. Birds aren't the only animals that lay eggs. Most reptiles do too. So there's a snake, and this looks like an alligator or something. Reptiles are a group of animals that have dry, scaly skin, breathe air, and are cold-blooded. Reptiles include all types of snakes, lizards, turtles, and alligators. Bird eggshells are hard, but reptile eggshells, most of them, are soft. And then you can kind of see how they are kind of soft. There's the alligator mama. Alligators build nests and lay eggs in them just like birds, but alligators don't sit on their nests. Instead, they cover them with dirt and debris to keep them warm. A mother alligator fiercely protects the eggs against anything that may try to harm them. So she's laid her eggs up here. She's kind of covering them up, but she doesn't lay on them, but she does protect it from other animals that might come and eat her eggs. Snakes like to eat eggs, so she wants to keep the snakes away. Alligators cry out when they hatch. The mother then digs up the nest to let them out. There's the sea turtle. And if you go to the beach, sometimes you'll see these. They mark them off so you can't be near their nests. Sea turtles come up onto the beach to dig deep holes where they deposit their eggs. They bury the eggs in the sand to keep them warm and hide them from other animals. Then the mother turtle returns to the sea and the eggs are left to hatch on their own. So she digs this big hole and she buries her eggs and then she leaves because her babies don't need her when they hatch, not like you and me. The baby turtles dig out of the nest and then they run to the sea. They just know to do it. Ooh, that's cool. This is about snake eggs. And if you look really close, that snake has an egg tooth. And that's what helps him hatch out of the egg to get out when it's time. Isn't that cool? The tooth rips the shell to let the snake out, and then that egg tooth falls off. Ooh, that's kind of creepy looking. Now, these are called amphibians. So these are animals that can live in the water or on land. And remember we've talked about frog eggs and we were hoping we could get some? Well, that's what frog eggs look like. It looks like this big glump of jelly, little black dots in it. And those little black dots are what will become the frogs. So like amphibians are frogs, toads, salamanders. So they lay eggs, but they lay their eggs in places that are damp or in the water. And most frogs lay eggs in the water. The eggs look and feel like jelly, and they do. I was hoping to get to show you that in person. Oh well. Frogs don't look much like frogs when they first hatch. Instead, they look like little fish and are called tadpoles, or sometimes we call them pollywogs too. Soon they grow hind legs and then front legs. Then their tails disappear. Then they look like frogs. They can jump out of the water. So there's the life cycle. Fish are another group of animals that lay eggs. Remember we talked about sharks? And we said that a group of shark eggs is called a mermaid's purse. Remember that. So this right here shows some fish eggs. They're orange. That's the clownfish. There's Nemo. But that's the fish eggs right there. And there's some fish eggs from that one too. And then here's octopus eggs. This is so cool. Look how those eggs hang from inside the cave. Isn't that cool? And then there's the octopus babies coming out of the eggs. It's so cool. And then these are the mermaid purses. If you kind of look, it kind of does. This is an egg, a mermaid. It's called a mermaid's purse. And it kind of does look like a purse. You know, the straps, and then inside is the baby shark. It's so cool, isn't it? And it says some sharks hatch from eggs, some do not. Interesting. Now here's one you know. Insects. These are butterfly eggs. They're really close-up pictures, okay? And then these are moth eggs. Kind of sometimes look like butterfly eggs too. And then here's the bees. And the bees lay eggs inside their hives. They call it a pupa, but remember when we talked about butterflies, we said the pupa was like a chrysalis, sort of the same thing. And there's the queen bee. She's the boss. Remember, she's the only one that survives the winter. She hibernates. And then these are platypus. Their babies are born live. It says no. This is cool. It talks about mammals. Most mammals are born live, but this says a platypus is a mammal, but it lays eggs. So sometimes, remember we talked about we don't always make the rules. Sometimes the rules are broken. So this is a mammal that actually lays eggs. And that's a platypus. He looks like a beaver with a duck bill, sort of what it looks like. It's cool. And then we all know about these animals, the dinosaurs. We know they came from eggs too, because they found some of the eggs fossilized. And there's some of the fossils, talking about the fossils they found. And then it talks about all the different egg sizes and shapes and how they're hatched. Pretty cool. So something cool you could do today is, I know we'd already talked about some animals that hatch from eggs and animals that are mammals. There's some other animals in here too, amphibians, reptiles, mammals, insects. So maybe you could do a little story about an animal. You could draw maybe its life cycle. You know the butterfly life cycle. I know you can find the frog life cycle. Both of those are called metamorphosis because they change. They look so different from the way they start to the way they end, because the frog doesn't look like a frog when he's first born. So look into some of your animals and write some stories. Maybe you have some books at home about animals. That's something cool you can do today. And hey, you can send me some pictures on email. I'd love to see your pictures. Okay? See you guys.